it is now being said by the lawyer as well that it is Eknath Shinde's faction really is the real Shiv Sena, Nalini. But this may or may not just last forever.
Well, yes, it's quite clear that there is no interim relief coming in for the Uddhav Thackeray camp like they were hoping for from the Supreme Court. That's precisely why soon after the Election Commission order was out, they had filed an SLP before the top court. They had sought to mention it on Monday itself, but because of paucity of time, Abhishek Manu Singh could not mention the matter, after which it was urgently mentioned yesterday, and the Supreme Court even allowed an urgent hearing today at 3:30. So despite all of that coming in favor of the Uddhav Thackeray camp, the hearing at the end of the day has not turned out in their favor, because they were hoping for a stay to be issued on this order, or they were at least hoping for some sort of interim measure to be put in place by the Supreme Court, so that neither the Shiv Sena led by Uddhav Thackeray
I'll
nor
just come
the
back
Shiv
to you
Sena.
in a few seconds from now. In fact, some reactions have been coming in. Some lawyers have reacted to the developments from the apex court today. Listen in.
माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने यह भी कहा है कि आप काउंटर फाइल करें, और दूसरा ये भी कहा है कि नोटिस भी हो गया, यानी इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया और शिंदे गट उनको नोटिस और ठाकरे गुट को काउंटर फाइल करने की माननीय न्यायालय ने सूचना की है। धन्यवाद।
Series of reactions coming in from the Supreme Court as far as the Supreme Court's order on not staying the Election Commission's order of the bow and arrow symbol being given to the Eknath Shinde faction of the Shiv Sena is concerned. Shiv Sena, UBT with the flame, the torch symbol with the flame continues to be with the Uddhav Thackeray, and Shiv Sena with the bow and arrow symbol is with the Eknath Shinde faction of the Shiv Sena. But this is a matter that is going to be heard once again in 2 weeks from now. Nalini continues to be with us, breaking down those details for our viewers. Nalini, who've just joined us, give us a sense of this case, the plea in court, and what to expect then in 2 weeks from now.
Well, Sneha, like I was stating earlier, the Uddhav Thackeray camp was essentially hoping that there will be some interim measure that will be put in place by the end of the hearing today, where neither the Uddhav camp nor the Eknath Shinde camp really get a sole right over using the name Shiv Sena as well as the bow and arrow symbol, like was allowed by the Election Commission through their order. But the Supreme Court has not gone down the way that the Uddhav camp was expecting, despite representing the top lawyers of the country before the top court. Things did not seem to have fallen in the favor of Uddhav Thackeray and his MLAs, where the Supreme Court has said that there will be no stay on this EC order. Essentially, and the reason given by the Chief Justice of India while saying this is that the Eknath Shinde camp has already emerged victorious before the Election Commission, which is a completely different process of exactly how things are conducted and how the hearings before the Election Commission happen. It has no bearing on what the Supreme Court is doing or what the Supreme Court has to decide, and that is precisely why the Supreme Court refused to interfere in it, at least for now. So there is no interim relief for him, but like I told you earlier, just because there's no interim relief does not mean all hope is lost for Uddhav Thackeray as well as his MLAs, because the Supreme Court has issued a notice. They've called for a reply from Eknath Shinde on this particular petition that has challenged the Election Commission order, and they've asked them to file the reply within 2 weeks, after which the hearing is going to be conducted. So in the long run, if the lawyers representing Uddhav Thackeray are able to convince the court that this order by the Election Commission is in fact bad in law, and the strength of the legislators, like the Election Commission has relied upon, cannot be relied upon because the legislators are themselves facing disqualification, then the Supreme Court might, in a slight chance, overturn the Election Commission order and either ask them to conduct the proceedings again, or in fact even go ahead and award the Shiv Sena name and symbol to whichever side that they deem fit. But at the same time, this is only going to happen after a detailed hearing before the Supreme Court's happen. It's not going to happen within 1 day or just a few hours of hearing as it happened today. A notice has been issued, response has been called, and only once Eknath Shinde and his lawyers are given a chance to argue before the Supreme Court and put forth their points, will the Supreme Court decide in finality about what needs to be done regarding this entire Election Commission order.
All right, now these developments are from the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, the Eknath Shinde faction has to reply before the Supreme Court in 2 weeks from now. But interestingly, there was some speculation that perhaps the Election Commission also will have to give an answer to the Supreme Court, but nothing has been sought of the EC. Questions have been raised on the functioning of the EC and the so-called pressure being exercised by the ruling BJP on the Election Commission. Nalini.
Well, yes, absolutely. And the Election Commission may called in because they are very much in the thick of this entire legal issue that is now coming before the top court. But so far, they have not been asked for any response on this particular issue, even though it is a challenge of the Election Commission that is being reviewed by the Supreme Court as we speak. But at the same time, Election Commission themselves is not a party to the case.